Welcome back to One Piece Anime Re-Review Part 22A. This one basically I'm reviewing episodes 33, 337 to 350. This is the first set of episodes I'm viewing for the Thriller Bark arc. Yes. I know that's kind of strange, and the thing with this arc is the fact that it takes a lot of inspiration from classic Universal horror, even some of the characters. Now, this arc has debut of a handful of characters, and it does introduce one very interesting thing. It does basically show off something that, well, will become a frequent thing in the franchise. Well, they developed more of the docking system for the Straw-Hats. Like, they already knew that basically docking port 0 was the paddle thing making the boat go faster. Docking port 3 was the shark sub, something they frequently use over the course of the series. Docking port 1 would basically be Nami's wave rider. Interesting the fact they would put that there. The second one was a surprise. The second one turned out to be the Mini Mary. And the first people to ride the damn thing were Nami, Usopp, and Chopper. Yep, the Mini Mary. Great little thing to basically have. It's basically like a grocery boat. Yeah, it's basically a four-seater. And Usopp actually wrote that is actually one person who's written this thing a few times over the course of the series. Now, the Mini Mary itself has made appearance recently. No, it's never been in Wano. Did it appear in Whole Cake? The answer is no, it did not. It did not appear in Whole Cake at all. I think its last non-physical appearance to date in the anime was probably in, and this is just my personal theory, Punk Hazard. Yeah, that was the last time I could think of as actually showing up in the series, was Punk Hazard. Yeah, it's strange though. Mini Mary is a great little mini boat, and yet it doesn't really appear very much in the series. Yep. Now, the first episode starts off basic. Now, I forgot to mention this with my Sea Hunter one. They did use one room aside from the aquarium, the kitchen, and of course the sub and supports to the docking system. They also introduced the bathroom. Yes. A place where you actually Nami naked, though the water covers centers basically her chest. They kind of did the same thing in this arc as well, which is actually... Now, the thing is, Sea Hunter arc is the first time in the series we actually see Nami bathing since Alabasta, believe it or not. Yep. And I'm sure she probably did off-screen, but on-screen scene of her bathing, yeah, this is something you don't really see very much in the series for Nami. Yeah. And this arc, yeah, you do. Though it's mostly her taking a shower instead of a bath. Yeah. Though when the thing starts off basically going through a fog, and they come across a giant... Now, they hear rumors about this place thanks to Konkoro from the... When they're mentioning this arc back in Post-Ennie's lobby. And they get inside, and they come across a giant galleon. And then you see on the ship a skeleton with a teacup. Yep. And they go on board. Now, the way they go on board the ship is quite interesting, because it was shown in the previous arc that the way that the Thousand gets on another ship is via a special staircase. Probably Frankie built this thing. Now, this ship basically has a rope ladder on. Okay, rope ladder. And they get on board and meet Brook, the humming swordsman. My personal favorite male character in the series, voiced by the ever awesome Ian St. Clair. Yeah. Ian St. Clair. When I tell somebody that Ian St. Clair is the one who voices him, he's like, really? That's awesome. Because Ian St. Clair is an awesome voice actor, and from what I heard from one person, I believe it was Peppercorn, told me this, that he loves this character. It's probably one of his favorite characters he's probably voiced his whole career. It's my personal favorite of his, because he just pure enjoyment. Though his appearance, I should point out, though, does change, but mostly put from this point forward up until a time skip. It's the same appearance. There's a black hat, there's the afro, which he does mention that, and of course Zoro buys he has very strong root. That's the reason why he still has hair, despite the fact his hair should be gone because he's a walking skeleton. And his clothes are a bit ragged. It looked like his pants about to come off, and it looked like he's not wearing a shirt. And you can definitely see his bones. And he carries around with him a violin, and he carries a cane sword, which is like a gentleman's sword. But it's basically something gentlemen basically know for carrying. It's like you pull out the tip of the cane, and it's a freaking sword. And now he does come where he was asked by Luffy during the cruise, like, sure. And everyone's like shocked at, and the first people with him are Sanji and Nami, along with Usopp. I get why Sanji. Now, apparently, the three people want to go with Luffy would be Frankie, Zoro, and Robin. But they need to go with him. So Sanji still stayed, but we had Nami and Usopp go with him. So, and of course, Zoro basically is like, what is this? And Luffy's like, that's a new crew member. And the thing with Brook is, he is so tall. He is by far, not only he's the oldest member of the crew, he's also the tallest. Yeah, he's pretty tall. I think he's even taller than Frankie is. Yeah. And when he first sees Nami, he's like, oh, you're a beautiful woman. Can I see your panties? And she's like, no. And of course, when he gets on the ship, he asks anything for Robin, and Robin has no response to it. She's probably happy to show him her panties. And the thing is, Robin, a lot of the time when I see her in this arc, she basically has like barely any expression on her. She doesn't react like at all over anything, or at least is shocked. Yeah, I'm like, I get the reason why, because she's experienced a lot of stuff over the course of her life, over the past 20 years. So I would think she has some reaction. I don't think she had a reaction to in the series I could think of. Well, whenever historical places are being damaged, or a buster call. I don't think it basically ever a reaction or anything. She just smiled, but doesn't like react to anything like over the top like everyone else does. So the book reveals that he was part of a private crew, or he said he did have flesh at that point. And the reason why he is because he died at one point, and he's a devil fruit user. Yep. And here's the thing about Brook. He does eventually join the crew after this arc. And he'll be the last person to join this crew for a long time. Until another character who makes their debut. Not in this arc. No, he doesn't make a special on-screen appearance until like 3 arcs after this one. And he's a very important character to Luffy. He comes to one of his personal friends thanks to what happens in Impel Down and in Marineford. And post-war. Yep. Yeah, now, the reason why he looks the way he is because even though he did die, it took him over a year to find his body. The reason why that was because the fog was so thick, so it took him a while to find his body. So by the time he got to it, it was already bones. And some clothing. I get the clothing, but it's kind of impossible to see the hair possibly remains. Even Zoro calls him on it. And he says, oh yeah, I've got really strong roots. And he says, I'll buy that. That's fine. And it's also true that his shadow was stolen a few years prior to meeting him. And he doesn't mention who it was, basically, who did it. And then all of a sudden he hears some noise. And he politely withdraws, basically joining the crew. But Luffy really wants to join the crew anyways because he really likes him, because he's also a good musician as well. And then he hears like a big noise outside, and it's basically like a teeth. And they're trapped at a place called Thriller Bark. Yep. Which is revealed, of course, these episodes, is that it was an island from the West Blue that drifted here. And it's an actual giant pirate ship. Yep, they revealed this by showing off the logo of the person who charged this place. And this arc also debuted of 4 new characters, aside from Brook. Well, actually about 5 characters, because one of whom is actually a very important character we'll discuss in a minute. First character introduced here is Dr. Hogback. Yep, who by appearance-wise, anybody can tell he's based upon the individual interpretation of the Penguin. Though he takes heavy inspiration from Dr. Frankenstein, and Herbert West. This is what information I've looked up. He took inspiration off of Herbert West from the reanimator because he loves reanimating dead bodies. Yeah, so he takes a lot of inspiration from that. And his house it has a similar feel to it to the hammer, like the way it looks and the way the interior looks. It has sort of a, let's just say, very similar vibe to that of the classic Universal monster movies, and a little bit inspiration from the horror Dracula movies. Yeah, that's what his place is based on. And it's also for the Chopper. I was a big fan of his. Like, hey, Dr. Hogback, can I have your autograph? He's like, sure, why not? He has like Raph to get the autograph. Can I see your? Can I get to your lab? He's like, don't go in there. Yeah, there's a reason why. And then we see wandering around. Then we see a couple of people show up. Pendra and Absalom, who's an invisible man. Yep. But there's one air character who shows up here, which they show off later when Nami, Usopp, and Chopper basically accidentally eavesdrop on where they find Hogback's lab. It's a guy named Ranma. Not Ranma. Ranma. He's from the land of Wano. And let me explain this character, believe it or not. This character actually made his debut not in the series, mind you. This character made his debut in a one-shot Oda did 2 years before he started One Piece, which also had a debut of the country of Wano. Yes, in the story, the guy kills a dragon. If you want to read it, it's basically in there's actually a book that does collect. Like, I read a website basically that, as far as I can tell, is still active, but I did hear its sister website, Kiss Anime, did shut down. Yeah, that's something basically I don't want to get into. But I read the story. It's actually a pretty dang good story. Oda, before he did One Piece, he did a series of one-shots, one of whom basically was adapted for an episode of the anime Romance Dawn, which has basically been remade a couple times, of course, the series. As a matter of fact, the first arc of the series is called Romance Dawn. And this arc has debut of a warlord of the sea. Yep, Gecko Moria, who at this point is the second to last warlord introduced in the series. Actually, one more left. They have not. Actually, two more left. After this one, they haven't introduced yet. The next one does make an appearance not until about 2 arcs after this one, and then one more after. Yeah, there's basically 2 left because the ones they introduced so far over the course of the series have been Hawkeye Mihawk, Crocodile, who's since removed, Bartholomew Kuma, and Doflamingo. Yep, these guys. Gekomori himself basically is a guy who is 23 feet tall, which they describe as Luffy describes the way when he sees him later. Wears very plaid pants. He looks like something. He looks kind of reminds me of Count Dracula. He even has a very weird laugh. Him and Penra basically, even Hogback, like heh 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 heh. Yes. The thing is, villain characters are known for their signature laughs. And One Piece basically decided to keep the laughs in the English dub. Now, when I heard Caesar Clown's laugh in the sub, they pretty much carried it over in the dub, which it's part of the character. So, yeah, and here's the thing. Absalom is the only who does not have a laugh. Not really. Now, Gekomoria does, so does Hogback and Pentra. Pentra, she is a beautiful girl who is 23 years old. This other Usopp sees her. She thinks she's a little girl. All because she's shorter than he is. Yeah, this like she's supposed to be 23 and she's smoking hot. Her appearance is like a t-shirt shows off her midriff, shorts, and an umbrella, along with boots. Absalom is a guy wearing a crown and looks like he's like his own personal thing. He also's got animal parts on his face. Yeah, there's an explanation for that later. Dr. Hogback is this big, tall, hulking guy who is somewhat thin, but kind of big too. He's got like claw fingers, fangs, and he's a very interesting dude. But Gekomori, oh my god, this guy's freaking huge. This guy is 23 feet tall. He's almost as big as Bartholomew Kuma and Big Mom. Yeah, he's freaking huge. Now, Rima, I forgot to mention about this character. If you hear his voice, yeah, it's Ian St. Clair voicing him. There's a reason for that. You see, Gekomori has got a very, very stupid Dever power. What devil power is it? Shadow stealing. Yeah, even though it's probably by far for a lot of people one of the more weaker devil powers, and one of the lamer ones too. Like how he steals, they show what he tries with Luffy's is that he shines a light on Luffy, and then he proceeds to get his power, proceeds to peel the shadow off the floor and have a giant pair of scissors he just happened to have, and snips the shadow right at the bottom of Luffy's feet. That's how he shields shadows. The first person you show for doing this is actually Zoro. Yeah, see, they actually were slowly capturing the big strong fighters of the Straw Hats. First it was Sanji, then Zoro, then Luffy. And they were taken by a spider monkey. Yeah, a spider monkey. Yeah, when Usopp, Nami, and Chop. Now, of course, Nami did take a bath, take a shower, and Absalom, yeah, this is very Absalom, decided to peek at her naked and try to pin her down on a wall in the shower. No, he's not trying to rape her. He's like, you'd be a good bride for me. That's all he was doing, was just doing that. And Nami figures out later, and he's like, you think seeing me naked will allow me to get me to marry you? Heck no. Yeah, and the thing is, Sanji has tried frequently many times to peek at Nami naked over the course of the series. And he does, I think he succeeds once in the first time seeing Nami naked in the series, Alabasta, but a lot of the time, yeah, he always fails. And Absalom was the first person to go completely naked. Yeah, which she hates him for it. Sanji, when he finds out later about this, he gets really angry with him and proceeds to nearly beat the man to death for it. For daring to peek at Nami naked. The only woman, he probably thinks he's the only guy who should see her naked. Yep. So, and they kind of have the other two kind of very mysterious. Probably feel a little bit later. Yeah. Absalom apparently is the commander of a bunch of zombies, along with Pendra. Yeah, they command all zombies. Now, as Dr. Hogback, he's the one who makes the zombies. But the person who gets them is actually Gecko Moria. Yep, he gets them, and he gets the things to reanimate them. And Brook basically explains later, he actually disappears after the second episode. He does probably once a flashback, but he doesn't finally return until toward the end of these set of episodes. And it's really, he's been wandering on the island, basically purifying people with salt. And that apparently basically evades, removes the shadows from all these zombies. When they have Luffy, Frankie, Zoro, Sanji, and Robin in the room where Usopp, Nami, and Chopper are in, all the paintings come to life, and Robin comes across the painting who looks like Mona Lisa. It's like, you're beautiful. And she's like, aw, really? And then she proceeds to twist her. Yep. And they proceed to pretty much beat up all these zombie paintings. And they take the pig painting with them just to be their guide. And it basically, when over the course of this, while they're walking about, Sanji, Zoro, and Luffy are taken, and just Robin and Frankie left. And then they're confronted by the giant monkey spider, which they battle over the course of a few episodes until, at one point it looked like that Frankie beats it, but nope, he ends up pinning it down. But then Brook comes along, slices at the spider, purifies it, and it tells Frank, hey, fire can actually burn these webs. He's like, really? Cool. And he proceeds to burn with his fire on it. And of course, if he's Robin, he says, okay, I'll tell you all I can about this place. Now, the shadow thing he does explain kind of in a weird way, where the shadow's like half of a soul, and basically the shadow is actually inside of a zombie corpse, and it retains the characteristics of the person the shadow belongs to. It's a very simple explanation, basically, Brook gives about the shadow stealing thing. And let's see what else. Oh yeah, and when Luffy runs a bunch of monsters, because Luffy is a big fan of monsters, join my crew, and of course Sanji and Zoro are overruled. Yeah, because there's one thing a lot of Brook, but not these monsters. Nope. Yeah. At one point, Penra basically tries to raid the Straw Hat for the treasure, but nope, they had no treasures. Really? And these people beat Crocodile, which I just mentioned, bring up that. But he's like, oh, they have lots of food. And his mentor's like, okay, take that. Don't worry, they get back once the arc is finished. Now they do show where Nami, Usopp, and Chopper end up basically in the inside of a zombie, a giant teddy bear zombie that's under control of Pentra, which they follow the thing in it where pretty much the rest of the Mysterious Four go to, and we have the on-screen debut of and of course there's also numbers on all the zombies. Yeah, that's how which each order basically each zombie is made, and they show zombie number 900, which is a gigantic zombie. It's as tall as a skyscraper, named Ors, where apparently it terrorized the world about several hundred years prior to events of the series, which that was a good point to end at. Basically, do this review was basically the debut of Ors before he wakes up because he's got Luffy's shadow inside of him. Yeah, this is going to be a fun arc to basically review, and I'm definitely looking forward to reviewing the rest. Which next one we're going to cover basically 18 episodes. I might decrease it. It depends basically on my mood, okay? So yeah, that's a particular review. My next review is going to be Comic Corner. And I'm still also going to review today for One Piece, Case Closed, Fire Force, and Barto. Okay? See you next video. Bye.